Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn presented by OfficerReports.com. This month, we'll be going through how to edit and approve reports. My name is John Greer, and I'm one of the customer experience managers here at Officer Reports. Some of you may know me. If you don't know me, you will shortly know me. So why exactly is learning how to edit and approve reports important? Well, it allows you the opportunity to make changes to the reports before emailing any report that you make to a client, so an incident report, daily activity report. It also allows us to add additional notes and comments. So without getting too into the training here, we'll just say that we can make edits to the report to clean up anything that may be erroneous or if you need to add additional information to the report. And then to add comments to a report in the report details to make sure that you're covered when it comes to making these edits. And we'll show you how to identify if a report needs approval or if it already has been approved. So we'll show you the indicator whether if approval is required or not, and if the report has been approved already. If you have any questions during this Lunch and Learn session, simply click on the second icon at the top of your screen, which is a little chat box, which will bring down a little chat window. Go ahead and select my name to send a message directly to me. You can, of course, put it in all so all participants can see it if you want to, but we'll answer those questions after the live demonstration. And now we're going to go ahead and just move on to that live demonstration. And on my screen, you'll see when you first log into Officer Reports versus Site Activity Summary. Now, one thing I want to make sure that you're all aware of is to make sure that reporting options for approval and editing are enabled on a site. So first we'll go to Setup and Sites. And on my example site here, we'll go ahead and just click Edit, and then go to Report Options. Here you see I've got the approval required and editable for the incident, daily activity reports, and the field inspection report is always automatically approval required and editable when you first create a site. I went ahead and added the incident report as well as the daily activity report to the editable and approval required. One thing I'll add here is that you can email the DAR after it's been approved by simply clicking on the button or the checkbox under Email DAR. So go ahead and do that now. And the incident report, daily activity report, field inspection reports, and maintenance reports, if the officer selects to email to the client, will be sent to site users. Site users are found there to set up sites, options, and then users. And client users are found under setup client users. There's a difference, of course, between client and site users. The client users will receive incident report emails after they've been approved, and site users will receive, again, the incident report, daily activity report, maintenance request, and field inspector report for their site that they are a user under. Client users also see all of the reports for the sites under them, will receive all the reports via email as far as incident reports go, if you've got that selected as an option. So from a perspective of a client user sees all the sites and all the reports for all the sites underneath of them, but it's only emailed out the incident reports. A site user, which is generally a general manager or say a store manager or somebody specific that takes care of that site's daily operations for your client, would be set up the site users option. We'll go ahead and update this here. Now, since I already had it selected, of course, we'll go into showing where the report is. So I've got an incident report that I just submitted not too long ago. And you'll see here that it's not approved. So approved is no. If we take a look at daily activity reports that I've got set up here, this is approved NA. So this site does not need approval for reports. And the example site, which I said, of course, does, this daily activity report has not been approved. So if approval required is enabled on the site, you'll see a no or yes after it's approved, which we'll show you in just a second. If approval required is not enabled, that means that it's not applicable. So you'll see NA there. Moving on to the incident report. It looks like an officer here submitted an incident report that was fired. Let's take a look at this report and get some details. So taking a look through this report, it says on the details of the report, it is not approved, it is not visible to the client site user. The last modified date and last modified by time will appear after we edit it. And looking through the report, it looks like there's a spelling mistake. There's a couple other things here that we could add to the report. Not only that, but the incident type is not right. If we take a look at it, it's not a fire. It looks like it was an altercation or a fight that happened at the location. So we want to make sure that that information is in there and correct before it's delivered to your client. We'll go ahead and first edit the report to clear up any misinformation. So we'll go ahead and change the incident type from fight, or from fire to fight. And we'll take a look at the report here. See if there's anything else. Entrance here is misspelled. And we can clean up some of the grammar here if we want to. But we want to keep the report as clean as possible, meaning that in the officer's own words, because if we make changes to the report, it's not the original, which is why comments are extremely important, which we'll get to in just a moment. So in this case, the suspect and even when I'm typing, sometimes things can go awry, so make sure that you also double check your own typing. Okay, everything looks good here, so we'll go ahead and submit the edited report. Get a notification that the report has been saved. And you'll see here it is still not been approved. It is not visible to the client or site user, but it was last modified at this date and time by this person. Submit. Now again, because it shows that it was modified and it was edited, we want to make sure that we add comments. So down here in the lower left-hand corner, we'll add a comment for each section we change. So we'll go ahead and select the related section. Now we could put it in the entire report because we did change a couple of things, but I'm going to make section-specific notes. So we'll go to the related section, input the notes as to why we changed it. And down here at the bottom, it'll say the date and time that the comment was entered by, the related section, and the comments related to that. So we also change the incident location. And as well, in the who, what, and when, we had placeholders at the time. Now, the officers, of course, may not add placeholders, but in this instance, we did edit those to include the suspect's name as well as the victim's name. And then we also did, under officer actions, the details, so let's add a note there as well. And you'll see here all the comments that I added relate to these specific sections that were changed. And the details, after we add the comment, are kind of spelled out here. So anytime you add a comment to a related section, it kind of highlights it to show what sections you've left notes that you've changed for, and those comments as to why you changed them. So if we exit out of this, we'll just go ahead and change back to the incident reports. We see again, it was still not approved, but the incident type that we changed and edited it for did change from fire to fight. Go back into the details, and again, we see it was last modified by and who was modified by, as far as the time and date and who modified it. And then the report still isn't approved and it's not visible. So we'll go up here and just simply click on approve. And you'll get a notification that the incident report has been approved. So now this changes to is approved yes, the approved date and time, who was approved by, and yes, it is visible to client and site users. And because we have the incident reports where we have a site user set up, let's say in this example, if we have a site user set up, then it will go to the email address listed on file for that site user. But they can also log in using the username and password we provided to them in order to log in and see this report themselves now. If we go out of the details, we'll see that approved is yes. So we've approved the incident report. Take a look at the daily activity report. Again, that is not approved. So the client, when they log in, will not see that because it will not be visible to the client or site users. And an email, because we checked the email DAR option, will not be sent until the report is approved. So if we click on the details, it's the exact same thing. We can click on edit and add notes here and edit the observations to the specific times they were added, say if there's any misspellings or any additional information that needs to be added, and any additional notes if there's anything in there. Down here we haven't changed anything. We have, when we click on add comment, observation 1, 2, and 3. So however many observations there are for this specific report, the observation number. And again, if we go and add a note, say to observation 1, and submit it, it'll change that to red, indicating, kind of highlighting it to indicate that that has changed. So just one more quick pass through on this. So this incident report, again, we just approved the report. It's available to your client and site users. And if the site and client have an email set up on them, client and site user have an email, and emailing the client is set to yes, then the email will be sent to both the client and site user. Only after it's approved, though. And also when they log in, a client or site user would be able to see the report. Going over to the daily activity reports, this has not been approved, so it will not show up to the client or site user. And once you approve it, because we've got email DAR selected under the site user will receive an email saying that it has, or with the report details. And again, because our other site here, that location, does not have approval required on it, that option is not applicable. So if we go to details, there's no approval button here, but we do see that we can edit it. So let me go ahead and just quickly show you that. Let's go to the event site, under setup, sites, click edit, and under report options, at the time, approval was not required for that. Oh, sorry, under the example site. I need to go to the event location. So approval cards not checked for either incident report or daily activity report, but they are editable. If we wanted to disable those, we could change that and update. And then once we go back to the daily activity report for the event location site, we'll see that under details that edit has gone away. And that's just how easy it is to edit a report and get that approved. Just make sure you do add the comments to ensure that the changes you make are kind of noted for any auditing reasons that you may have. All right, so I haven't seen any questions that were submitted in chat. So we'll wait just a moment here because we do try to keep these rather brief. So we actually do have a couple of questions. So one of the questions we've got is, so the site user will receive an email as soon as I approve it, or do they need to log on to view the report? Both, actually. So after you approve the report, the site user, so long as they have an email address listed on their user profile, will receive an email after you approve it for the incident reports. And if you've got the email DARs checked, they'll receive the daily activity reports as well. And as far as the client users, the same thing with them for the incident reports. If you have approved the incident report and have email instance to client checked for client users, they will also receive the incident report, but only after you approve it. Client and site users would then be able to see the report only after it's been approved. So while it says approve no, the client and site user would not see that. I've got a question on what did I use to correct the spelling. So there is a couple tools that I use. One, you could use the built-in browser spell checker, or I also use a plugin called Grammarly, and that double checks grammar and spelling. So you can use that add-on for Chrome. I believe they've got it for something else for other browsers as well. And I'm being asked here to go over the approval boxes again. Sure, not a problem. Let's go ahead and switch back to that real quick. And by approval boxes, I'm just going to wait for this response here real quick. What do you mean as far as the approval boxes in the report options for the site? I think that's what you mean. So this is where I'll head unless we get in another direction here. So, okay, no, that is confirmed. So the report options, you go to Setup, then Sites, and then if you want to add the approval required or make them editable for a specific site, because it's based off of the site options, we will go to Edit, and then Report Options tab right here. So if you don't want them to be approval required anymore, you can uncheck those. But making them approval required automatically makes them editable, so that you're not locked into a situation where approval is required, but you're not able to edit them. Similarly, when you uncheck the approval required boxes, it makes the option for editable an actual option that you can check or uncheck. And of course, we have the email DAR checkbox here. So if you just want the reports to go out as soon as the officer submits them without any sort of edits or filtering by your supervisors or yourself, you could just leave it like this or click editable so you can edit the report. But if you want to make sure that everything on the report is essentially good to go before your client receives an email, heavily recommend approval required being selected for the site. Do we have any other questions? And did that answer the questions that you all had? All right, getting a yes here. So go ahead and move on, because again, we try to keep these fairly short, just because they're meant to be done as a quick overview during your lunch. So we don't want to hold anybody up if they still are on their way to lunch. If you need to schedule a training session, so at any point you say, hey, John, or hey, Stephen, whichever one of us may be your customer experience manager, kind of would like to request a training session, but not sure about what date and time I'll need it. If you're talking to us over the phone, you can simply go to the support menu when you're logged in as an administrator under the main site and request training. That will bring up a box that allow you to, or a calendar, which will allow you to select a time and date that fits your needs, where we don't already have something blocked out on our schedule. So again, that is under support and request training. And also to note with that is that if you set up the training, say, a week in advance, the day before, you'll get an automatic email reminder that, hey, you've got this training appointment set up. Here are the connection instructions, so you can actually connect to the training, as along with the Congress ID and any information. If you need additional support, of course, we've got the Support Center. So under Support and Support Center, that is the go-to knowledge base of support articles. It pretty much has everything and anything you need to operate officer reports and to answer any questions you may have there. If you type a couple words in the search box, more than likely the first few answers will be exactly what you're looking for. If there's not something in there, of course, you can contact your customer experience manager and we'll review that with you. You can also, of course, set up an online training session or just let technical support know, hey, this information I'm looking for, I've got this question, it's not on the support center. Tech support will, of course, work with you on that, and then one of the customer experience managers will make sure that we put that information on the support center. And speaking of contacting technical support, if you do have any questions, you can either email tech support or you can go to support and contact us, which will bring up a contact us form. Fill out all the information, your first name, last name, email address, the question that you've got, and that'll actually send off directly to tech support via the website. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today. It's been an absolutely wonderful Lunch and Learn this month. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to technical support, and also feel free to discuss things with your customer experience manager, as well as do an online training session if you need to dive deep into something. Everybody have a wonderful lunch, and we'll see you. Well, Stephen will be doing the afternoon lunch and learn, so we will have another one of these in just a moment, or a couple hours. But thanks everybody for joining, and have a great and wonderful day.